The criminal justice system affects people from all walks of life, nationalities, localities. Newsy has partnered with the Marshall Project to bring you a series of stories called We Are Witnesses. It's about the system and how it impacts everyday Americans' lives and families. Tonight on The Why, a mother and father talk about their son's battle with depression.
It was the loneliest we had ever been. We didn't turn the TV on because we knew the news would be filled with reports of his arrest. We didn't want to see that.
17-year-old Benjamin Van Zandt is charged with felony arson, burglary, grand larceny, criminal mischief, and reckless endangerment.
I wanted to help him and protect him, but then at the same time, he was already, in this criminal system.
Police say Van Zandt sprayed gasoline in several rooms and used a cigarette lighter to start the fire.
It was just sitting at home, just wondering what he was going through. That was the worst part of it, is what is happening to him? What is he thinking? One of the cops said that Ben was telling them that he had been hearing voices.
We knew that there was a possibility that he could have some kind of mental illness because I have a long history of it in my family.
When the cop said something like that, I thought, holy crap, it happened.
He had this image that if he burned something really big, that's what would cure him, of this depression and this extreme sadness that he had. He didn't tell us about that because he was afraid that he would end up in a psychiatric hospital and everyone at school would know about it and he would be humiliated, That's all he was concerned about, what his peers would think about him. Ben was a shy kid growing up, but very inquisitive.
He was in the Boy Scouts. He was working on his Eagle Scout rank. He was not a kid who was going through any trouble from what I could see.
I think for him, things kind of changed when he became a teenager. He didn't know what to say in a group situation or whatever he would say that it might be the wrong thing.
He didn't want to stand out in any kind of a negative way.
I think after we realized that he was suffering from some kind of mental illness, we thought that would certainly be a mitigating factor, in whatever happened in the outcome.
The probation department had done an investigation, and at the end they recommended youthful offender status, which seemed very obvious. The kid was mentally ill. He was 17. He was an honor student. It was a no-brainer.
The judge and the DA, refused. They would not grant him youthful offender status. So, and even the attorney, I remember him telling me, he said, for Ben to take the plea bargain because he was a smart kid and he would get through prison okay.
When you're visiting somebody in prison, you can touch, you can hug, and that was good. So we enjoyed seeing him. We saw him all the time.
Sometimes he would tell us, things that were happening, but I think we know that he would not tell us all the things that were happening. An older inmate kind of took him under his wing and pretended to be his friend, and they would cook meals together, and Ben really appreciated that. I mean, that's what he wanted. He was very lonely, but he didn't realize that this guy was just setting him up, And because then he started demanding, sexual favors in return. I saw him in October. He just didn't quite seem himself, he like something was bothering him, but he didn't want to talk about it or anything. He was very afraid of the COs. He witnessed one of the other inmates there in the mental health unit. He was brutally beaten by about 6 COs. I think he kind of reached a point where he felt that they're never going to let me out of here. So he went back and he hanged himself.
They couldn't tell us themselves. They're absolute cowards. The corrections officers, the prison officials, they sent a priest to tell us. You know, they killed him and they didn't care.
He left us a note. He just said, please tell my family I love them. I try not to dwell on that, but it's hard to not think about, you know, the suffering that he must have gone through at the very end to make that decision. Because I don't think that he really wanted to die. He wasn't a bad kid. He was just a kid that was mentally ill.